Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We are a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, doubts, identities are welcome here. I'm Ann Hutton, and I am the worship associate today. I'm glad to welcome our guest minister, the Reverend Brian Mason, who is currently serving the UU congregation in Wausau, Wisconsin. Welcome, Brian. Welcome to visitors and newcomers, as well as those online. We're glad that you're here. There is a preschool playroom open for young ones and group activities for the kids following the time for all ages. Between service, please join us downstairs in the Commons for refreshments and fellowship, where you can find ways to get involved in church and community. February's Justice Partner is Hawthorne Helps, a longtime partnership offering support to folks through Hawthorne Adult Education Center. Our entire offering goes to that work today. You can give as the plates are passed or anytime online and ahead of time. Thank you for your generosity. Join us Wednesday evening for Tupper Supper and programs. This Wednesday's forum is entitled White Anti-Racist Spirituality, with a panel of members who recently participated in a program on the topic. Supper is at 5:30, the forum at 6:15, with childcare and kids' activities. All are welcome. And you can follow the progress of our combined annual program budget and capital campaign for the new church home down in the Commons. Our goal is about a 10% increase in the operating budget and $3 million for the capital campaign. We are well on our way, and there will be more updates soon. So, with that, let us enter our time of worship with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Topper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. In a moment, the opening hymn will call us back, but before we sing, I invite you to rise in body and in spirit and greet those around you. Okay. Right here? There we go.
Crying like her heart will break. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, is so high. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Don't see what's to discover on the other side. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Borders round the countries, borders round the sky. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Only border close you is the border round your mind. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in.
Today's chalice lighting words are from Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow.
I'd like to invite the children forward, or, and of course, as always, any adults who want to come and sit on the floor. I have a story for you today, but first, I have a very important question. Now, we had our month of loving kindness, right? Remember that? We had all our little tasks that we had to do, and then we've been talking about justice and equity and all of those big things, right? What is love? What is it? Anybody? What is love? Oh, okay. Now, you saw that. Yeah. Grandparents are love, and great-grandparents in love, and parents are love, right? Is love the same to all of us? We all love different things? Yeah, we can all agree on that, right? Well, today's story explores that. It's by Mac Barnett and illustrated by Carson Ellis. And do you think that they are going to answer the question, what is love? Do you think we'll know what love is by the end of this book? Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Because books tell us everything we need to know, right? All right, let's see if they can answer this question. So you can either look here, the pictures will be up on the screen as well. When I was a boy out in the garden out front of the house where we lived, I asked my grandmother, what is love? My grandma was old. I thought she would know. She picked me up in her arms and said, I can't answer that. Who can? I asked. If you go out into the world, you might find the answer. So, I went. I asked the fisherman, what is love? The fisherman smiled and said, love is a fish. A fish? I asked. It glimmers and splashes just out of reach, and the day that you catch it, if you know what you're doing, you give it a kiss and throw it back in the sea. But I don't like fish, I said. They're slimy and taste bad, and they have creepy eyes. The fisherman sighed and said, oh, you do not understand. I asked the actor, what is love? The actor smiled. Love is applause. Applause? It is the hoots of the crowd, the sounds of their hands. You stand in the footlights while they all scream your name. Sometimes they throw flowers. And at that moment, you know, you exist. You are seen. But the crowd leaves, I said. They go home. The actor sighed. You do not understand. I asked the cat, what is love? The cat smiled. Love is the night. The night, I said. Well, that sounded all right. But before the cat could explain, the dog chased it away. Wait, I said, stop. What is love? The dog looked back and said, this! I asked the carpenter, what is love? The carpenter smiled. Love is a house. A house? You hammer and saw and arrange all the planks. It wobbles and creaks and you alter your plans, but in the end, the thing stands and you live in it. I said, I'm not allowed to use hammers. Once I busted my thumb. I don't mean a real hammer. I'm not talking about thumbs. It got busted real bad. The carpenter sighed. You do not understand. The farmer told me love is a seed. The soldier told me love is a blade. This soldier told me love is a blade. This soldier told me love is a horse. But the cart driver said, no, it's a donkey. A sports car, a donut, a lizard, a ring. the first snow of winter, maple in the summer, a grizzly bear, this pebble right here. These are all things that people told me that love is. Then I asked the poet, "What is love?" The poet smiled. "Sit down and I'll tell you," he said. "A list so long it goes on for pages." I didn't have time to listen to that. "Wait," said the poet, "I have not answered your question." "You sure haven't," I said. The poet shouted at me, "You do not understand." And so one day I returned to the house where we lived. He looks a little bigger here, doesn't he, than when he left? You think his grandma could still pick him up? No. The lights were on and I smelled dinner cooking. My dog barked gladly at me from a window upstairs. I took off my shoes and I stood in the garden. I curled my toes so they dug into the dirt, and I sighed. I didn't hear my grandmother come up behind me. "Finally," she said, "you have come back." She was older and I was taller, and she asked me, "Did you answer your question?" I picked her up in my arms and I smiled, and I said, "Yes." So what do you think you discovered love was? Everything. We'll now sing the children's benediction. The words will be up on the screen, and the children and I will head downstairs.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Marge Dalen, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need for the last 2 weeks. And Cynthia Dalby will take over tomorrow for the next 2, and we thank them both for that. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing those challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care or personal pastoral care, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. And we revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. This morning we hold Kathy Yoss in our hearts. She has recovered well from some heart issues and has been recuperating at Charter House in short-term rehab. Uplifting cards of love and support would be very welcome to Kathy, and we send her healing thoughts as she recovers. The Cards of Support list that is compiled weekly contains several members and friends of the church who are experiencing these challenges and happy times, and is posted in the entryway of the church as well as through a link in your e-news. We provide cards and postage and welcome you to leave the cards that you write near the basket for mailing and encourage you to spread well wishes in that way. So now, take time to settle in. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning, and above you the sky and the stars shining with ancient light, holding you in this space, yourself made of earth and stars. Sit deeply here in this community of love and justice, hope and grace. And know that here you are named and you are known as beloved. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing a silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of many names and beyond all naming, we hold in our hearts all those who suffer in mind, body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you are holding in your heart this day in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, may we be held in love and grace. These words of meditation are by the Reverend Betts Weinecke. May we learn to recognize and affirm the pieces of possibility. The bits of good we bring, may we encourage rather than control. Love rather than possess, enable rather than envy, allowing our individual gifts to weave a patchwork of peace. The soft, deep blue of sensitivity and understanding, the red energy of creativity, the white heat of convictions, the risky, fragile green of new growth, the golden flashes of gratitude, the warm rose of love. Each of us is indispensable if we are to minister to a broken and wounded world. Together in our gathered diversity, we form the whole. May the faith in the Spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come. And please stay seated as we sing together hymn 1025, When Will the Fighting Cease?
When will the fighting cease?
Pray for Peace by Ellen Bass. Pray to whomever you kneel down to. Jesus nailed to his wooden or plastic cross, his suffering face bent to kiss you. Buddha, still under the bow tree in the scorching heat. Adonai, Allah, raise your arms to Mary that she may lay her palm on our brows. Shekinah, Queen of heaven and earth, to Inanna in her stripped descent. Then pray to the bus driver who takes you to work. On the bus, pray for everyone on that bus, and for everyone riding buses all over the world. Drop some silver and pray. Waiting in line for the movies, for the ATM, for your latte and croissant, offer your plea. Make your eating and drinking a supplication. Make your slicing of carrots a holy act, each translucent layer of onion a deeper prayer. To hawk or wolf or the great whale, pray. Bow down to terriers and shepherds and Siamese cats, fields of artichokes and elegant strawberries. Make brushing your hair a prayer, every strand its own voice singing in the choir on your head. As you wash your face, the water slipping through your fingers, a prayer, slipping. Water, softest thing on earth, gentleness that wears away rock. Making love, of course, is already prayer. Skin and open mouths, worshiping that skin, the fragile cases we are poured into. If you are hungry, pray. If you are tired, pray to Gandhi and Dorothy Day, Shakespeare, Sappho, Sojourner Truth. When you walk to your car, to the mailbox, to the video store, let each step be a prayer that we all keep our legs, that we do not blow off anyone else's legs or crush their skulls. And if you're riding on a bicycle or a skateboard, in a wheelchair, each revolution of the wheels a prayer as the earth revolves. Less harm. Less harm, less harm. And as you work, typing with a new manicure, a tiny palm tree painted on one pearlescent nail, or delivering soda, or drawing good blood into rubber-capped vials, twirling pizzas. With each breath in, take in the faith of those who have believed when belief seemed foolish, who persevered. With each breath out, cherish. Pull weeds for peace. Turn over in your sleep for peace. Feed the birds, each shiny seed that spills into the earth, another second of peace. Wash your dishes, call your mother, drink wine. Shovel leaves or snow or trash from your sidewalk. Make a path. Fold a photo of a dead child around your Visa card. Scoop your holy water from the gutter, gnaw your crust. Mumble along like a crazy person, stumbling your prayer through the streets. The ushers will accept your offering to do our mission of this church.
morning. Let me start with a word of gratitude. This is a great place to come and preach. You all are very nice. Like, you live up to reputation. I feel like really held when I came here. Like, I've been emailed a lot and texted a lot. This is a great place to be a guest preacher. So I want to thank Anne for being worship associate and reading a poem I picked so beautifully. That was wonderful. The music really is a Sunday unto itself. As I said in an email, you'll save me a little later, depending how this sermon goes. And I want to thank all of you for being here. This is a beautiful and an interesting sanctuary with such warm light of the sun just radiating all of your faces. And also thanks to Reverend Luke, who I know. I'm very grateful to him for opening up this pulpit that he occupies, and I wish you all the best in your capital campaign and your 38 acres of land you're developing. It's really a blessing. I'm excited to hear about all that's going on at your church. So I thought I'd start with a sort of reminiscence about a few summers ago. So after a marriage, 4 apartments, 3 states, a child, a home of our own, a chinchilla named Elvis, if you're curious, and a dog named Chow, if you're curious. My wife Sarah and I, we decided to go through the boxes in our basement to sift through the junk we had been carrying around for a decade. I'm sure none of you have junk in your basement. So there were boxes in our basement that we had completely forgotten about. Things such as my childhood leather belt. And when you are a country boy from southern Missouri, when you come of age, you get a leather belt with a belt buckle this big with your name on the back of it. I still have it. I even have a digital alarm clock that my mother got me in the 5th grade. I have this bizarre sentimental attachment to it, and so I've just kept it for all these years. There is also, I'll have you know, a Rubbermaid filled. And by filled, I mean to the point of explosion. It should come with a warning, filled with every Beanie Baby known to humankind. Because my wife has an addiction, and she cannot bear the thought of getting rid of these vile, disgusting things. Have you ever seen a Beanie Baby? Anyways. So, among the mountains of junk was an entire box filled with parenting books. So whenever Sarah and I learned that we would be parents, we bought every book on parenting that we could afford from Goodwill. If we saw one, we bought it. We checked them out from the library. We put them on our Amazon wish list. We would borrow them from our friends and our family. And we would read these books cover to cover. We would underline parts of them. And then we would talk, like we would mutually share what we had learned. We went to parenting classes. We game planned. We promised to be better parents than our parents. Don't raise your hands, but how many of you did that? We sort of channeled all of our anxiety about becoming parents into researching about parenting. So truth be told, this is a confession. I, at this point, cannot remember one thing I read over the course of that time. Now, I do remember a few of the things my parents and my friends told me, but all the approaches and to-dos that we thought that we had absorbed, they vanished the instant our little girl came into the world. Now, I'm not trying to say that parenting books are useless. For me, they served what may have been their true purpose. This is my theory. They exist to relieve new parents' anxiety. But I had sort of mistakenly thought that if I filled my mind with all of the latest scientific data on child development, if I learned how other cultures parented, that I would be able to research my way into being the best parent ever. The parent who could know what to do if. But anyone who spent more than 3 minutes with a child knows that even if you have a PhD in developmental psychology, none of it will fully prepare you for the responsibility and the mystery that a child is. So the New Yorker, for those of you who read it, they parodied this reality of parenting in a satirical report entitled, quote, "A recent study has shown that if American parents read one more think piece about parenting, they will go blanking ape blank, fill in the blanks." So here's something I've noticed. The way we think about parenting has patterns that we use in other parts of our life. I've seen it, and I expect you've seen it too. People who think that they can sort of project order onto the unruliness of the world in a vain attempt to ease our troubled minds. There's a pattern to this kind of living, and by my lights, this is how that pattern goes. It goes something like this. You identify an issue, you research, you implement, you routinize, you evangelize, and in the process, you annoy every single person you have ever met. But think about all the other ways that we telescope this process, right? We do this with the food we eat. We do this with the way we exercise. We use this with the technology we use. We think that if we eat a certain way, exercise a certain way, email at a certain time of day, that we can somehow control our lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that developing self-control and good habits are pointless. That could be farther from what I'm trying to say. What I'm getting at is the impulse in all of us that thinks we have to control our lives just so, and constantly perfect ourselves in order to be enough, to feel like you're enough. But the strange thing about control is that what we seek to control often ends up controlling us. If you've ever been to a recovery meeting, you've almost surely heard someone at some point say something like this: "You cannot solve a problem with the same mindset you used that created it." The thing is, there is no single, definitive, right way to parent or to eat or to use your phone or your computer. That's because life is not a problem to solve. Further, the longing for control and our endless desire to be thought well of, this often turns into glorified scorekeeping. And I have a word for this. Whenever all you think about is scorekeeping, you become self-absorbed. And so on the topic of self-absorption, the grandson of a Unitarian minister, T.S. Eliot, he said this. This is a quote. "Half the harm that is done in this world is due to people who want to feel important." Now, they don't mean to do harm, but the harm in the end doesn't seem to interest them, or they don't see it, or they justify it because they are absorbed in the endless struggle to think well of themselves. That's the end of the quote. So Eliot's warning is as timeless as it is true. Anxiety and fear in our attempt to control it with busyness, with plans, with fads, with better abs, they end up narrowing the light of existence into a tiny sliver of life we occupy in sort of this closed-in existence. What Eliot knew is that far too often the search for the right technique to do this or that aspect of life, it always ends up creating this sense of anxiety to try to control everything. And the anxiety we create to be a perfect parent, to be a perfect consumer, to be a perfect liberal or conservative, to be a perfect UU minister who says God roughly 38.28% of the time, or to parent a child that will come out perfect, it always ends up what? Being transmitted onto our children or our stepchildren, our marriages, our second marriages, our friendships, our churches. Not this one, of course, but other churches and city halls. The perfect exercise plan and the anxiety to perform that exercise plan, it just turns into like this to-do list. The anxiety to eat perfectly turns the simple pleasures of eating a delicious meal into something like doing your taxes. For those of you who like doing your taxes, I'm sorry. We'll talk after church. Right? Everyone wants a meaningful life. You go all the way back to Socrates, and what did Socrates say? Famously, the unexamined life is what? Not worth living. Here's my twist. It's also true that the over-examined life is not worth living either. So in one of Calvin and Hobbes' comic strips, I love Calvin and Hobbes, it shows the young, mischievous Calvin. He's standing in front of his parents who are just relaxing and lounging on the couch together. And then in the next panel, Calvin looks up at his mom and his dad, and this is what he asks them. Mom, Dad, what assurances do I have that your parenting isn't screwing me up? The rub, of course, is that there are no assurances. All of us learn to walk by falling. All of us learned to fall in love by failing. All of us learn what truly matters by having things taken away. We all learned what really matters when it was taken away. So today is the second Sunday in Lent, if you were curious, the season in which the faithful are invited to meditate on sin and repentance. Now, I get it. Sin is sort of like a four-letter word in these liberal Protestant circles. We like to think that people are basically good, but then what happens? We run into the cold facts of jealousy and murder and human trafficking, hatred, greed, theft, and all those other minor sins that live in our hearts, like arrogance and impatience. I think it's too often the case that sin gets turned into something like religious rule breaking. But this definition invites a wrong way of thinking, a way of thinking that I've been talking about, that we can teach ourselves enough, or read the right books, or say the right things, and do things that earn us favor in the eyes of other people, or maybe even in the eyes of God. Now, I'm mindful here of this old maxim that has been told about our spiritual ancestors. Maybe you've heard it before, but it goes like this. This is about sin. The Universalists, they believe that God is too good to damn anyone, while the Unitarians believe that they are too good to be damned. But the thing is, sin isn't about being naughty. Sin, in Francis Spuffer's words, is better understood as this, quote, the human propensity to mess things up. That's what sin is, our tendency to just mess it up. So Spuffer's words are a reminder that humans are magical and mysterious and amazing, and we are causers of pain and suffering. But we hardly need religion to remind us of that. Yesterday's headlines did that. This morning's headlines did that. And tomorrow's will too. And there are, of course, many responses to suffering. Some people want to hide from it. Some people want to bury it with busyness, or they want to hide behind it with any number of terrible things. I used to be a hospital chaplain for years, and what I learned as a chaplain is that there is no right way to respond to pain. There'd be these people who would rage and they would scream at it, and there'd be these other people who would just quietly submit to its presence. And both of these reactions are valid, and both of these reactions are true. But there existed this kind of person who, even in pain, could dig into some sacred well in their soul, and somehow they would muster the power to continue trading in life. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. I remember this woman who was in the throes of pain from chemo, terrible reaction to it. And so she called a chaplain and asked if we could come and say a prayer together, which is what I did. And then as I turned to make my way out, she grabbed my hand and she said, "Chaplain, don't leave until I can pray for you." So just consider this power dynamic, if you will. I'm standing upright, of course, nicely dressed, wearing a tie. She is lying in a bed, in a borrowed gown with no back, in a borrowed bed. Now, I don't really know what to say other than to tell you that I have met people like this who seem able to trade in the very substance of life. They have this ability to turn passion into a transformation that affords us the bail from the prison of our selfhood and to the freedom of being. I had this Old Testament professor in seminary who liked to say that learning isn't just about teaching. That really, when learning happens, it's about meeting. He believed that everything that he taught only mattered the moment we moved that learning into an encounter with another person. He said that it's one thing to read that God is love, or that in Buddhism, the subject of love ranges from the sensual kind of love to the benevolent kind of love. But that no human being can ever know 1 ounce of love until another person touches their heart. In other words, we gain our lives when others give theirs to us. Right? A child is born to you, and somehow you end up loving this tiny little creature so much that along the way, day after day, you end up becoming a mother or a father. Or you have these other instances where a woman or a man or a person stumbles into your life, and somehow over coffee and arguments and ups and downs, you end up loving your way into becoming a spouse or a husband or a wife. Or we stumble into a church much like this one, and we hear something or we see something or we sing something that pulls us out of whatever shell we've constructed around our hearts, and that act gives us the strength to pick up the metaphorical hammer and start swinging. So I watched this documentary a while back that said this about the evolution of the human walk. It said that really the evolution of the human walk, our ability to walk upright, is really sort of a fault. Because really, the way we walk upright is really just one little stumble after another. But I also read the other day that 73.6% of facts and statistics are made up on the spot. But whether it's true, it doesn't change that on some level, all of us are just stumbling along. But the gift of our faith reminds us that our ways are not the holies, which means that love and belonging and justice and righteousness, they exist alongside the mess and the suffering. And out there in the world are people and churches that call us out of it. And what we're called out by is wonder, if you'd like a word. What all those ancient monks, those desert mothers and fathers, they called loving attentiveness. If you're willing to bear in peace the trial of not being pleased with yourself, you will, as St. Therese said, offer love a home in your heart. That ability we have to release our expectations of what we think we'll see, to receive what's actually there. To recognize that the holy is in everything. It's in a hospital room, a refugee camp. It's in your political opponent. Sometimes it's looking back at you in the mirror, even when you don't like what you see. We're so used to living fast, for scanning for quick fixes and shortcuts and life hacks and juice cleanses. What we have is the fact that we are finite and mortal. And so we number our days. We get to try and make each day full of meaning and worship and love. My prayer is that we learn to savor this world through the gift of our senses, so that each day becomes a search for beauty, for listening to the music of life, for the relish of meals, and to embrace our living. And so may all of us, when our attention wanders, when we feel like we're not enough, be nudged back to the sacred banquet of life all around us. Amen. If you would, please rise in spirit or body for the closing hymn in the Teal book or on the screen, Blue Boat Home.
I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I was smiling all my life now. Never harbor hope, what have I known? The wide universe is the ocean I traveled, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. I'm lifting here with my ship's companions. Are we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home? I give thanks to the waves upholding me, and the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the heavens, never harbor or port have I known. Mid-universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
I invite you to reach out with your hearts. May the truth that sets us free and the hope that never dies and the love that casts out fear lead us forward together until the day spring breaks and all shadows flee away. Please have a seat. Enjoy the postload.